fast. It was funny because we could hear her from far, and then the sound got louder and louder as she was laughing down the road. It was very funny. But these lots, you can see there's a bit of scratching, a bit of grooming going on, and this is quite typical of cubs. They have, when they have a little bit of mange, they will scratch a bit, and you'll find that they will groom each other. But they are starting to wake up, and they've been very cute. There's been grabbing of ears and tails and rolling on top of one another, and you can see it's all kind of a big lion pile at this stage. And there's only one adult lioness that I can see. I don't see any of the others. Maybe the rest are lying somewhere in this deep grass, but so far it's just one. I'm not sure this morning how many Taylor had, but it's only one that I can see at the moment. But look at that. It's just a bundle of joy. Look at that. Now that's what you would call not surround sound, but surround car wash. Oh, paw in the face. Look at the size of those paws already for such a small cat. Now, the mange we're talking about is those little patches that you see there, and it's not something to worry about just yet. Like I say, the Nkuhuma Pride, when they were around this age, the little cubs looked a bit like this. It does happen when they're a bit smaller, but they're already old enough that I think they'll be okay. The older cubs look much better. You can see there's one of the older ones. So Andy, you're asking how do the lions get rid of mange? Well, they never get completely rid of it. That mite is naturally occurring. In fact, even us as humans have some of those mites that do live in our hair sometimes. So it's a naturally occurring thing, and they will all have a little bit of it. But it's when the mite gets out of control, and that's normally in the dry conditions. So in the winter times, you see it presenting quite often, and you get these outbreaks of it. As soon as there's a bit more moisture coming along, and their immune system gets a little stronger, and they groom themselves, and they stop rubbing up on one another as much as what they're doing now, you'll find that that will all start to go away, and it will start to get better. And that's why the older they get, generally the better it gets quicker, because they no longer lie in piles like that and always kind of on top of one another, and that then stops this mite from spreading too much from one to the other, and they just groom it out, and eventually then goes away. So they'll be okay. Like I say, they're much better off than what I've seen the Styx cubs last year, and even the Nkuhuma cubs were looking a little bit like this at the end of the drought last year, and that's cleared up enough now. And the Styx cubs, I mean the Nkuhuma cubs, look just fine. So you'll find with the Styx, much will be the same. You can see, look at Mom, she's almost completely healed. They had it quite badly as well, and she's much better off. So I would imagine the cubs will get there eventually. Oh, Mom's tail is now time for a game. And this is what happens when the kids start waking up. It's now time to pull tails and to play and to chase one another around. And look, you can see they get a bit angry with each other from time to time. There we go. And all this play will be vitally important for later in life when they are tackling bigger animals. All the kind of techniques that they've practiced by being cubs and playing around with one another will become very important later. They'll have the sort of way to grab another cub. They'll be able to use those paws and those mouths to be able to effectively bring down the prey that they need, so, or to defend themselves should they get in a situation where they are being attacked by another lion. Yes, hello you. Now this little one closest to us looks like a young male. He's already, see, he's getting a little bit of a mohawk going on the back of his head there, so I think he's a young male. I thought I saw little testes when he was on his back. I can't remember now clearly, but it looked like he might have been a young male. And it seems with the Styx that they do produce a lot of males. In the time that I've known the Styx, a lot of the cubs have been predominantly males. And I remember all the cubs last year that unfortunately died of the mange. Of the 8 cubs, 6 of them were males. So it's just the 2 females out of the 8, and they then all passed away. But prior to that, it's been a lot of male cubs, and that's why the Styx pride has shrunk over time. There's been no females really coming through the ranks and surviving to allow the pride to grow, and it's getting to the point where it's getting a little desperate. Hopefully these cubs will survive and that there are some females in it, and the Styx pride will continue, because it's one of the oldest prides in the Sabi Sands in terms of what we know, and prides that were followed and monitored from early on. They were one of the first prides that were really kind of put on the map of the Sabi Sands. So it would be a real big shame if the pride itself disappeared and was no longer. So I'm really rooting for these cubs, and they've done so well to get to the age that they are, and hopefully the Birmingham boys will continue to stay alive and to protect this area and allow for these guys to get into a mature age, that some of the females will then be able to start breeding, and the Styx pride will continue.